Our next guest at Sahitya AajTak is arguably one of the most talented and creative people in this country. There is almost no one else who can straddle all the different worlds that Prasoon does at the same time with the kind of success that he's enjoyed. He's a poet, a composer, a screenwriter, an advertising guru, a communication maven, and he's excelled in every one of these fields. With his songs in Rang De Basanti, he stoked a certain idealism, a certain revolutionary zeal which brought people to the streets, arguably led to a regime change. He, however, now is part of the system. How does moving from the streets to Lutyens, Delhi, impact his creativity, his poetry, and his politics? Joining us now at the English stage at Sahitya AajTak is the author of this new book, Thinking Aloud. And in this, he's touched upon different themes dealing with contemporary society and politics. And over the next 40 odd minutes, I hope to touch upon those. Prasoon Joshi, welcome. It's an honor and a privilege to have you with us. You've made a transition in a few years from being outside the system to now, in various senses, defining and being the system.
No, I think it's a very easy explanation of what I'm doing. So I consider myself constantly exploring and striving for something which I feel is required at that time. For me, it's not about regime or being with one or other. For me, it is that I feel how meaningfully I can contribute to the milieu, to the country I live in, and can I make a change with the limited means I have? I've always tried to. I'm the same person. It's just that, humans are like that. When you meet a person with his mother, you see the very different side the mother knows of that person. And the same person, when he meets the lover, you see a different side of that person. Person is the same, but the roles you play are different. And I feel sometimes I play a role of a critique. When I say खून चला कुछ कर गुजरने को खून चला बदन से टपक कर ज़मीं से लिपट कर रस्तों से उमड़ कर उभर कर नए रंग भरने को खून चला, then I'm raising a certain voice. But when I'm saying मैं रहूं या ना रहूं भारतीय रहना चाहिए, then I'm expressing my love for the country. Now both are required. Time to time, whenever I was asked, I have been part of, if you call it system or governance, wherever I have been asked to contribute. Wherever I felt I should critique, I have critiqued. So it's about, are you trying to contribute in a certain way? Yes, I'm trying to do. Today I feel, as I gave that example of the Solomon Island and the tree, if you want me, I can re-articulate that. In the Solomon Island, when they need to, they don't cut trees, they abuse a tree till a point. It's a tradition. We use it in Tare Zameen Par, where you abuse the tree so much that it finally falls. It loses its leaves and finally it dies down. I think after a point when you're criticizing, you have to realize that, is it helping? Is it that India is, it's sad. Our past is very wounded. This is a country which has seen a lot. And I think the time has come for us to also focus on what is good about our country. Can we constructively collect our strengths, and when the world is becoming even tougher and tougher, can we rise? Because there is a lot to fight. For India, the battle is far from over. So right now, in the state of mind I have, Rahul, is that I want to constructively look at our country Focus on the strengths of the country. Focus on what is good happening. Of course, there are things which are not something which ideally should happen. But it's a time to focus because there are a lot of good things also in the same country. Whether it's through the human qualities we have. On one hand, you say, should we focus on hatred? No, we should focus. I'm incapable of hating. I cannot.
Do you think poets and writers lose some of their revolutionary zeal or the romantic halo that they carry when the rebel inside them dies or when the rebel subsides? Throughout time and tide, poets have been considered the most romantic when they've been rebelling and hitting out at the system, not when they've been in the system.
That's, I think, been unfair to poets because poets have been very constructive as well. And it's also, I feel, then it's a limited poet. If you only thrive on chaos, if you only thrive on negativity, if absence of a negative force ceases to make you a poet, then probably there is something not right there. Because if you go to a beautiful place and you see something beautiful, it means a child playing with a dog you will not find it beautiful. You'll say the child is torturing the dog. He's pulling the tail of the dog. You will only see the negative in it. So if आपके चश्मे अगर इतने negative हो गए, your only lenses you have is negativity, then and you need it to thrive. See, some people need a negative force to thrive. And only time they drive the energy from that. If that is the way you've become, then it's time to think about it. Because
as one of the most creative people in this country, you're now constantly hounded with the tag of being whether somebody calls you an acolyte or they call you a chamcha, different definitions.
Yeah, they would.
Does that bother you? Because somebody who's always spoken his mind, now they say, Prasoon to Modi ji ka chamcha hai.
Yeah, I mean, it in a sense, when you so easily define someone, I feel that they never asked me, what exactly are you at? For example, when I was doing the interview in London, and people thought, I don't know why they thought, that I should have probably asked negative questions about India. In London, sitting in front of the foreign land, attracting foreign investment to the country, I should ask my Prime Minister all the wrong things which are happening in our country.
But
what kind of I feel I don't understand this. I feel the vantage point is negative. So for me, to begin with, I want to ask the people, भाई, आप criticize तो कर दिया आपने, आप कुछ करते भी हैं. What have you done about it? The question, now the time has come that we ask all the critiques that fine you criticize, but do you do something about it? I think we need to get people who've been armchair critiques for very long and वो अपनी दुकानें चला रहे हैं उसके ऊपर. I think this critique shop needs to shut down and we need positivity malls.
When you look back at that famous or infamous interview, depending on which side of the spectrum somebody is on, do you sometimes feel, or have you been told that maybe you went overboard in your criticism? आपकी वो line थी इतनी जो famous हुई या infamous हुई कि मोदी जी आप में इतनी फकीरी नजर आती है, and people said,
I still feel the same. You ask me, that people will say what they want to say, but when I said that I feel a certain sense of detachment in him, I see that. I don't know. I think he does a lot, and I see a certain sense of detachment in him. That he has, it's very easy to say that somebody is selfless or today is the time of selfies. We become too selfie oriented. देखिए, एक ज़माना था, we'll come back to this, but एक ज़माना था कि some people used to take pictures. वो कभी फोटो में नहीं दिखते थे आपको. बड़े सेल्फलेस लोग होते हैं वो फैमिली में. एक आदमी फोटो ही ले रहा है सबकी, बेटा तुम इधर आओ, वो कभी फोटो में नहीं होता है. ही इज नोवेयर देयर. टुडे ही इज इन द फ्रंट बिकॉज वो सेल्फी लेता है. सो फ्रॉम सेल्फी वी हैव टू बिकम अ लिटिल सेल्फलेस. अब सेल्फ ही बचा है. सो ऐसे टाइम पर आई फील दैट समबडी हु हैज लेफ्ट हिज फैमिली एंड गॉन अहेड एंड 24/7. Nobody can doubt that he works, 24/7. He's one point agenda is working. So if I call him a selfless person who's working 24/7 for the job he's doing, I think he's doing his job very seriously. I've been in a company and I've seen CEOs of the company. Anywhere you see this kind of person who's worked 24/7, one point agenda, and his life is that his job. I think it's easier said than done. A lot of us will not be able to do it. So that is in that context, I define him. I felt that he doesn't do things for himself, and he's doing all the time what his job expectation is. And if you find it, problem is that if I do not resonate what you believe in today's world, I'll be immediately called names. Immediately will be given a tag. After a point, you have to realize in today's world, you'll have to learn to ignore. Because it's very easy to get, derailed. See, your anchoring needs to be correct. My anchoring is that I feel for the country. I have no qualms or whatever people say, ki Rashtravadi or whatever kind of thing tags they give you. Well, my whole track record is in front of you. I have been in various professions. I have tried to do justice to what I've been expected to do, to my job, to whatever I do, even the CBFC job budget was given to me. I do not charge a single penny to do this job. I completely do this job absolute pro bono. And I try to do it to best of my ability. And you can ask filmmakers how meticulously I've tried to, structure it. I just redesigned the certificate. I made the certificate now. CBFC board, we just launched the new certificate. Now you can go to the CBFC certificate, put your phone, and you can watch the trailer of the film. That will also come alive. You can see all the credits. So we have digitized it also. Try to remove all the hassles of registration. Everything has been digitized. You can go online. You don't have to physically come there. A lot of things. So I think whatever job has come my way, I've tried to do justice to it. And if people want to give tag by saying that if you feel for the country, if you do your job well, and if you're doing it under the regime we don't love, then we will tag you and we'll troll you. Then what can I say? So then they are doing injustice to me. I'm sad about it if they do that.
You're saying that you haven't lost your sense of balance and you're still objectively looking at what's right, talking
Absolutely.
about that.
And Absolutely. I'm saying that for now, I realized, and a lot of mulling over, I realized the time for India is to actually focus on its strengths. And I think there is someone out there in Modi ji who's trying to focus on that.
Okay, so let me
I feel that particular part and that particular thing does not mean that you have to tag someone for that. Because eventually what is the anchoring? Anchoring is that the country I live in should become stronger, self-reliant, full of pride, a nation which can stand tall in the world. And I think that is where probably, and wherever that is not happening, definitely one should criticize.
So let me ask you this question, Mr. Joshi. You've spoken at length about what you think is going right. You've spoken at length even in the interview that you did about the things that you see are being transformed in the right direction. I want you now to tell this audience at Sahitya AajTak, what is it that you think has happened over the past 6 years which you, despite being CBFC chief and being a part of the system, don't agree with? What is it that you don't like with the way India is being run?
What is not happening right?
What do you think is going wrong? What do you think is not happening?
I think the speed is with which the schemes which are made. I think I really like many of the schemes which have been started. I feel with the speed they are executed, I think a lot of improvement is required in the execution of that. And that is where I would feel more planning is required. There are various initiatives which we yet to see come into life. Some of them like Swachh Bharat, or some of them like gas cylinders to people. We've seen that coming to life. There are many more things which probably needs more planning, more executional detailing. I think that's where probably more focus needs to go.
That's the only failing you see, speed of execution.
Speed of execution is one thing which I feel.
Anything else?
Offhand, right now, as I said, I have focused on, frankly, see, if you if you start listing the negatives, there could be thousands of negative. This, we are all, it's a work in progress country, and that as a civilization we are work in progress. But for me, I have focused on, and if you ask me what you focused on, the positive initiatives taken by this government as a change, have they all come to life? That's how I've approached it. I've decided rather than sitting or become a fence sitter, I will become a contributor. Wherever I've been asked, I could have easily, many people will not take CBFC as a job. I have a full thriving career. I run a multinational company, and I have my, I run the Asia for operation for them, and I have, my hands are full, and I also write films and songs. And so, but when I was asked for CBFC, I felt there is a need.
So I want
and I could have chickened out. I could have easily said, there is nothing, why should I take?
the difference.
So the question is, I have decided to contribute. See, somebody who has decided to contribute, Rahul, you'll have to see, you are a journalist. Your job is to see the faults and point them. I have a great appreciation for journalists. So I feel your job is to find the thing and tell them that this is not right. As I said, as far as you are not doing fault finding to paralyze, but to help, it's fine, and that's required. But the decision I have taken is that I want to positively contribute, and I see what is right, and if I can do something, I'll do that. Right now, that is the decision mode I am in. So for me, it will be, it is not my job to constantly keep finding faults and saying this is wrong, that is wrong. The job I took in CBFC, all the things I found not correct. For example, I felt that, speed of getting the certificate, the process of it, the fact that there is too much of physical involvement. People are standing in a queue and trying to, we've all gone on everything online. I think with the help of all our, officers and ministry, we've gone and digitized it. So I feel there, if I find fault and if I can do correct, and that is exactly what I said in the beginning, that time has come to ask these people who just do fault finding and run away after that, भैया आके कुछ कर लो, अब आप ही कर लीजिए, चलिए आपको देते ही रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी. तो आप कहीं नहीं दिखाई देते. You suddenly have disappeared. अरे अभी तो यहीं थे, वो कहाँ गए कहने वाले? नहीं, वो अभी कहते हैं सिर्फ साहब. वो कहने का आते हैं, उसके बाद वो कहीं गायब हो जाते हैं. So वो मैं नहीं हूँ. इसलिए I will only tell you things where I can make a difference. Now I am in that state of mind.
So there's a big difference between the manner in which Prasoon Joshi runs the CBFC vis-a-vis the way Gajendra Chauhan or Pankaj Nehlani after him ran the CBFC, and that difference primarily is we don't get as much news from the CBFC any longer, because earlier there were so many different controversies, and virtually every day, for not so good reasons, the CBFC was in the news. You said you're fond of journalists, but you're really, everyone who covers the CBFC now doesn't find the kind of controversies emerge. Are you consciously staying away from controversies, or is it just one of those things कि कोई controversial film आपके सामने आई नहीं ऐसी, या आपने बननी नहीं थी controversy?
See, first thing that I come from the world of branding and marketing and advertising, so I know sometimes people are finding a campaign headline, and I said, listen, if you think I'll give you a headline, I know this profession too well. I know you're just trying to find a headline from me that I won't be able to give you because I can see through. So first thing, that is over. Second thing is that I have a lot of respect for my, creative fraternity friends. And I've always felt that if you sit across the table and discuss, see, before CBFC, I had never seen things from that vantage point, from the people's vantage point. What is CBFC? A lot of people don't understand what happens in CBFC. See, I represent the board, and there is a bureaucracy before the board. Actually, they do this every day. They have committees. They form committees to watch a film. Who are these committees? These committees have people from all walks of life. They could be a housewife, they could be a lawyer, they could be an engineer, they could be a teacher. They create a committee which watches a film, and their job is, as per the law, their job is to give a point of view of the common people, and then according to the Cinematograph Act, the certification is done. Sometimes the filmmaker has not thought of that particular point of view. And I always encourage filmmakers that, let's face it. There is a word in Hindi called swantah sukhaye, self. for writing or doing for self. If you're writing your own diary, or you're singing for your wife, or at your house, that is for self gratification. That's your own domain, own world. But the moment you take it out for commercial reasons, if you want share of wallet, you will have to respect the share of voice which comes. You can't say that I want your share of wallet, but I don't respect your share of voice. It's not right. So I believe in informed choice. I think the person who is going to watch a film should know what he or she is in for. And I had ND discussions with the creative fraternity on this, and most of the times we have arrived at things which amicably agreeable on. If somebody feels that this film is not an adult film, and why, you have to tell them that, listen, it is an adult film, because why do you want to cut it down? Don't cut it down. It's an adult film. Let it be a pure adult film. That is the reason you don't find controversies, because I believe in discussions, not in controversies. And with discussions, you can find solution. The law is the way it is. I'm not there to change the law. That's not my jurisdiction. That's not in my purview.
Okay, so let me ask you this question. What, according to you, and now you've been CBFC chief for a while, so you have had a good opportunity to assess it, is the manner in which our cinematography laws need to change to become more contemporary, to move with the times? If this act was being reimagined, what do you believe is a CBFC law for today's day and age would be more relevant?
As again, I would say, an informed choice, well informed. I should know what category it is, and it should stay very true to it. That's where it should be. So as a consumer, I think the end consumer has to be respected. The share of voice because they want share of voice. See, if you're profiteering from creativity, it becomes very different. See, if you're doing a self-expression somewhere, you've painted something, but if you're creating for commercial reasons, you know what buttons to press, and you're very cleverly pressing those buttons, then the consumer needs to know it. See, suppose you're a vegetarian and you buy a snack, and it is your right to know what is there inside it. It can't be a surprise at the last moment that you suddenly I felt a piece of meat in my mouth. And if you felt a piece of meat and you are vegetarian, and you are vegetarian for a very strong reason that you really hate killing of animals, you have deep down that feeling, you'll be very hurt, because you would want to know what I'm consuming. So I think that goes similarly in the creative product also. I think it's a creative product. Eventually there is a product there, and I think we should work towards a scenario where I make a very well-informed choice. It is my decision to do this, and I went fully aware into it. I think that is where probably there are gray areas where people don't know. In this country still, and I have suggested that we should do a campaign now. Being from advertising, I understand the power of it. That what is, for example, you ask someone outside what is UA means as a certificate. Won't be able to probably tell what is the parental guidance. You can go with your child, accompanied with you, by you, the child can watch that film. I don't think that the clarity in people is there, that UA means that. I think we still need to inform people about their choice and their right. It's very important that we work towards an informed choice world.
You spoke of some of the changes you've made as censor board chief and how you're successfully avoiding controversy, trying to reduce the amount of time it takes, the physical interface. What is it that you'd like to do in the time that you still have left? What would you like should be your legacy as India's censor board chief?
The first thing is that the process, as I said, the process, also staffing, as I said, that, what happens is that most of the times in the film fraternity also I told them that right now everybody's energy is that how do you abolish law rather than how do you make it finer and the process better. So I have said that let's make the process better for now. Concentrate, you keep finding amendments and you keep talking about those things. Nobody is taking the right away from you. But let's collectively make the process better. Okay, and we have tried to make the process better. And so my legacy would be that it will be a smoother, well-oiled machinery, which will have less glitches, and also when people will look at examples, you know, you've n number of examples. I don't want to cite examples of films because I feel they deserve to come out. But a lot of the filmmakers have told me, I never thought this film will come out. Padmavat was one such film. I remember signing it, despite that there were expert advice against it. We sat and used a power of doing things right the way it should be. And I think it takes time. People have to take time and understand. It's not that you should not listen to the voice of people. I don't think anybody is fringe. This is very easy. For some people, we are fringe sitting in one room here talking in English, which they probably, so, you know, we should never, you know, bulldoze our way through. Because, and call fringe because they don't speak, they don't have the lexicon you have, they don't have the argument, and they haven't developed the art of arguing the way we argue. We should not call anything fringe. There are voices which will come out. We should be respectful towards every voice. We should know how to deal with those voices. We should listen and after that take a decision. It's not an easy job to certify a film. Believe me, there are so many things which I've learned in my tenure here, which are life lessons, which I never thought about. I never thought the petitions and objections which we receive about things, that people could think like that. And I sometimes read those letters and find, oh, this person is like imagining things very differently than I imagine, or looking at from a very different vantage point. What is it? It's an education. It's a crash course into human sort of, understanding. So what you say, what your question was the legacy, I think legacy is a smoother, healthier, much more dialogues are possible. It's not a one-way street, it's a two-way street. And I think a lot of filmmakers have understood the point of view of CBFC, which probably a lot of people did not even know the workings of it. Some people said that, why are not experts in the CBFC committee? I said that will defeat the entire purpose of CBFC. The CBFC's purpose is to give you common person's point of view. If you put experts, and somebody, and that is where I will as a creator take on objection. If it is script writer sits there and says, oh, your script is screenplay is not good. Well, no, I'm not going to listen to that. So these people are not experts. Understand, these people are common man's point of view towards your creation, and you are accountable to the common man, because eventually it is a relationship between the creator and the receiver. See, we are living in a very different time. There was a time when you had, active performer and passive listener comes from a world of condescension. When I told you that I am better than you, you better listen to me. So I am an active performer, you are a passive listener. You go to the tribal world, old world, you see it's a collective performance. A tribal dance is a collective dance. A tribal singing is a collective singing. Humans do, and that's exactly what happens in social media today. One voice comes, somebody adds his own version. You start dub smashes or TikToks and all these kinds of things would come with people want to take it forward. So we are living in the world where it's an active performer and an active listener. Active, this is too active state, which is probably not been used to. It has been a one-way traffic. And this new reality needs to be understood.
So I'm very curious to know how you manage to straddle so many different worlds. Most people are either good advertising gurus and they can come up with good catch lines, and you've got so many of those, or they write songs for films, or they write screenplay. There are very few examples of people who can straddle all these worlds with the kind of success that you have. So if you were trying to give lessons to people on how to emulate you and to be the next Prasoon Joshi, what do you think is the secret sauce?
First of all, I never thought anything. कोई चीज़ छोटी नहीं होती, कोई काम छोटा नहीं होता. Second thing, you have to be born in a middle class family like me who do not have much to fall back on. Only thing your parents could give you is education, and after that you have to fend for yourself. Now you don't have much choice. Choices reduce when you come from that background. I'm not spoiled for choices that beta चाहो तो फलानी जगह जाके ये भी कर सकते हो, ये भी तो है ही नहीं, ये ही है. So this is what it is. So the first job I could find where I could actually use the education I had, the marketing and my love for writing, it was advertising, where somebody was paying me to write. And I couldn't believe it, that they will allow me to write and they will pay me for this. So I found it very interesting as a profession. And after that, I kept on exploring. I think you should never stop exploring. And you should keep exploring. I am still exploring. Today, when we live in the world of and I stumbled upon things. See, I stumbled upon advertising. I stumbled upon films, writing. I was doing work with Amir on a Coke campaign, where he requested me to be part of Rang De Basanti that time, and wrote the dialogues of the film and the songs of that film that time. So I stumbled upon things. Things happened, and I never thought. I'm not judgmental. That is, I won't do. I tried. You do not know. See, Tulsidas ने एक चीज लिखी है. Somebody asked Tulsidas, "Yeah, you are very respectful to everyone you meet." He says, when he will come in disguise. So ना जाने किस वेश में नारायण मिल जाए. So I am very, very respectful to everything which comes to my way. And that's the reason I do so many things. I do not know किस में नारायण है भाई.
In your current capacity, when you're playing such an important role in the censor board, how much time do you have to stay connected with the advertising world? I was reading your book, Thinking Aloud, last night, and I was very fascinated by the chapter that you wrote on artificial intelligence and how it's going to shape the future of advertising and songwriting. So can you tell us, and to all those who are sitting and watching, and we'll start with advertising first, how do you see the artificial intelligence shape the present and the future of advertising?
See, artificial intelligence is a fabulous thing, and I think it's going to change a lot of things. It's going to redefine a lot of jobs. It's going to redefine a lot of things we do today. Well, as some of you would know, that first set of scriptwriter called Benjamin has already come out. That's a artificial intelligence, full-fledged writer. It's not a human being. It's an AI. And the scripts have also come out. Well, the scripts have not met the success, but it's just the beginning. I'll give you where artificial intelligence for me will have a limitation, and where as I said, certain in terms of data, in terms of accessing what has happened, is going to be unmatchable. See, the difference is that when you're talking to me, I'm accessing my data, my experience. What I'm talking to you today is the world I carry around me, my set of experiences. As they call it, Anubhut Satya. My first-hand truth is what I carry. My data I carry. And I access and I process that, and I take my decision through those filters. Suppose you are AI. The difference is, you have access to everyone here, everybody's experience, everybody's mind, not only people in this room, people in this world. So you are definitely going to beat me, because your information and your data is collective. Mine is individualistic. So I am going to be beaten by you in things which have happened. Now I give you an example. What will happen in script writing, where I think probably it would need a lot of work before we can say AI is going to be like humans. Suppose I'm attending a funeral, and there are funeral pyres in front of me, and I can feel the heat of it, and I can smell the burning flesh. That smell, like burning meat, the heat, that's first-hand truth. I carry that, and I write a poem about the flesh burning and the images I have. AI can access that poem. AI cannot access the heat and the smell. And that heat and smell is capable of producing n number of poems, out of which AI can only access one. So that is exactly where AI will have the limitation in terms of sensorial first-hand experience versus a data-driven linear experience. So that's where I see the distinction between this. The second thing I've explored in AI, because I come from this land of spirituality, the land of, I believe in the Advaita, the monoism, that everything comes from one source. Even science believes that. I feel it's almost, if I can access every human mind, every human experience at one point, it's almost like meditation. It's almost like spirituality, where our spiritual gurus told us that if you connect, you become one with the super power, and you access the super energy, you become one with it. So probably AI is taking us in that direction in a different way. So I feel that something which is happening here is a very basic, fundamental truth of the universe. And there is a lot to happen here. And you see, it's going to be fascinating.
I was filming with some songwriters and musicians in Mumbai recently, and how machine learning and artificial intelligence was impacting their work was fascinating. And I want to know what you think of it, because they were saying they can almost game through algorithms what songs or what tracks are more likely to succeed by going and looking at current choices, past choices, how people respond to different beats. They say that, you can almost not make unsuccessful songs because you know what is most likely to click, or at least increase the chances or probability of success. Do you buy that?
Yes and no. As far as you don't take it for granted. See, there are incremental human changes which are happening all the time. See, what happens is data gives you what has happened in past, and and algorithms are based on the basis of that. Something which happened now, right now, in the world, and suddenly given birth to an emotion in you, this moment of emotion, and suddenly you felt very happy. You are a sad song listener. Most of the time you're turned on by sad songs. And the moment you hear Mukesh Saab's voice, tears roll down your cheek. It's like preemptive. Sometimes I feel the music is also a memory device. Okay. And this I realized when I was in with my wife, she's sitting here. We were in Paris, and we were listening to operatic music. मैंने ज़्यादा सुना वना नहीं था. मैं Indian classical, I've been brought up on that. And it was of some very big artist, very expensive tickets. We were sitting there, and it's like 30 minutes pass, and I was not feeling great. So I stepped outside से जाके, and I stood outside. I said, यार इतना great music है, मुझे क्यों नहीं मतलब मजा आ रहा है? And I feel I am a music lover. Why is it that I have to like it? I should. And I came back and I forced to listen to myself. Today I am a better appreciator of it. I can't say I can sort of appreciate it like the connoisseurs of it, but I am a better appreciator by pushing myself. But I realized that at an early age, see, childhood is the time when you are tension free. कोई आपको टेंशन नहीं है. कहाँ से कौन कमा रहा है, घर कैसे चल रहा है, किसने किसी को क्या बोल दिया, सब कुछ चल रहा है, and you are absolutely free. इसको कोई कुछ नहीं बोलेगा, पकड़ के आपको ले गया कोई. That's the most beautiful time you spend, and that's the time, the kind of music you listen to. Not even music, even food is like that. The food you ate at that time, the music you listen to that time, the smell you experience at that time is very dear to you. And that's the reason they say that if you want to inculcate or train somebody, that is the time, because that is the time you are most susceptible to it. You're most positively receiving it, because everything around is beautiful. And in that, another beautiful dimension is this music, or this food, or this smell, and those things you never forget. So, but you've suddenly fallen in love. And you've fallen in love with some other language, some person who speaks another language. And you've probably, someone who's brought up in Khayal music is trying to appreciate Carnatic music. AI will not be able to predict this love of yours, suddenly intervention of this kind. that this guy is now going to like Carnatic music. ये तो सुनता नहीं था यार, इसका तो पूरा रिकॉर्ड है हमारे पास, इसको कभी समझ में नहीं आया, इसने तो कभी ये ran away from it. ये तो कई बार हमने देखा, इसका गूगल मैप पे देखा हमने, ये भागा है कॉन्सर्ट से, वो भी हमारे पास, लेकिन ये भाग नहीं रहा है, अभी ये इश्क में मुब्तला है, तो ये तो वापस सुनने के लिए बार बार जा रहा है. तो इसका ये अनप्रिडिक्टेबिलिटी जो आ गई इसकी लाइफ में, दैट इज कम बिकॉज ऑफ एन इमोशनल इंटरवेंशन. नाउ AI will have a problem with that. They say even AI will handle that in future. My friends who are doing, they are great sort of scholars in AI, and I love that theory of singularity, and I believe that a lot is going to change. Definitely, a lot is going to change. But like you're saying, recreating the consciousness, for example, and you're saying that consciousness is nothing a set of responses. I think we are taking it too literally. As far as AI stays a slave of human, it's going to be great. But the moment AI takes over, I think that will be a scary word.
In the few minutes that we have left, Prasoon, I want to focus on some of your poems and some of your work, which really stood out. And the one that stood out for me most during the recent election campaign was when Prime Minister Modi, at a very sensitive, delicate time, voiced once again your poem Kasam Mujhe Is Mitti Ki, which was very interesting because India and Pakistan were very tense at that moment. And here, even before the Balakot airstrikes, he's swearing revenge in possibly the most dramatic fashion possible, wearing a safa and standing and saying Kasam Mujhe Is Mitti Ki. What was, can you
Kasam is Sogand
Mujhe Is Mitti Ki. So if you can take us through what was going through.
I'll tell you one thing. I will not recite it. I tell you, it's best recited in his voice. It's dedicated to him. It's tailor-made for him. I'm almost like you can see his emotions. I feel that should be left totally to him to recite. And sounds the best then. So
everybody's heard the poem, so leave that aside. I'm saying when he said it at the moment that he did, at a time of immense tension, as the writer, what was going through
I have to do justice to the emotion of the time. It is, ये खाली शब्द कुछ नहीं होता. जब शब्दों के पीछे, if you don't have the right emotion behind it, the words will be hollow. The right time, the right emotion, and the right delivery makes it what it is. The song I wrote, तुझे सब है पता है ना माँ. If it was not at the time when the child has that separation, you not feel that much for it. But you see the child being separated from the mother. I think that makes all the difference. So I think the right delivery, the right emotion at the right time is what it is.
And just as a communicator, given the stakes at that time, when the Air Force hasn't gone in, we haven't exacted any form of revenge, the delivery was fantastic. I'm sure all of you who would have heard it have just really felt very roused by the Prime Minister's delivery. The words were very powerful and they were well timed. But it's also a very dangerous thing to do. What, according to you, does that suggest about his politics? That you don't know what will happen, you don't know what the outcome is, and yet in public you're willing to take such a very strong and bold position.
No. What happens is when the love for the country is shown in a very, very precise manner, in a very decisive manner, I don't know why we feel it's dangerous or why.
No, dangerous militarily. I'll tell you why. Because I'll explain to you why. I'll explain to you why.
जब हमारा देश, whenever we want to keep our spine erect, suddenly सबसे ये dangerous है. अरे भैया सीधे खड़े होना dangerous क्यों है?
Okay, so let me explain to you.
आपको बताऊं मैं, आपको योगी लोग भी बताएंगे, स्पाइन को इरेक्ट रखने से एनर्जी फ्लो होती है. स्पाइन इज वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट. आई थिंक दे लचीली रीढ़ जो है ना भाई बता दो यार, अगर प्यार करते हो तो बता दो. मैं प्यार टाइप का आपसे कुछ करता हूं. मुझे अपने देश से प्रेम टाइप की कोई चीज हो गई है. भैया आपको प्रेम हुआ है तो प्रेम बोलिए, आपको नहीं हुआ है तो बोलिए नहीं है, लेकिन प्रेम टाइप का कुछ नहीं होता है. आपको प्रेम होता है.
So let me explain the use of the word dangerous in a military context. The context is that you're forewarning the enemy that we will come in and we will exact revenge. Ordinarily,
अपने एनिमी को, अगर आपका एनिमी आपको डेंजरस समझता है, बहुत अच्छी बात है. आपका आप इफ योर एनिमी थिंग्स यू आर डेंजरस, इफ योर एनिमी थिंग्स यू आर lethal, it's very good that your enemy takes you seriously. If your enemy doesn't take you seriously, believe me, the namby-pamby will not work. India has to be more decisive. And I am not someone who keep the eye for an eye. No, I don't believe in that. I feel best. You've seen my way of working in CBFC. That's me. That's not me. I feel anybody, our country has been very, very magnanimous and a beautiful country. But sometimes if your love and your magnanimity is taken for your weakness, that's the time you have to also stand up and say no. That is very important for India. And it is not by any means should be called dangerous. It should be called dangerous कि हम दुश्मन के लिए dangerous है.
what is it that's engaging the poet in you at this
मैंने
moment?
लिखा था ना, शत्रु से कह दो जरा सीमा में रहना सीख ले, ये मेरा भारत अमर है, सत्य कहना सीख ले.
बहुत good. Very nice. What is it that's engaging the poet inside you at this moment? I hope that this toxic air of Delhi, this Zehrili Hawa, you're writing something. I'm waiting for an epic poem from you.
Yes, I have to, because I felt the infection yesterday night. I was actually trying to sing today. You can see my voice is actually, and in the other session, I was trying to go a higher pitch. I couldn't. So I felt that my throat is infected. And yes, I think we need to do something about, we have to really examine that progress का मतलब असली क्या है. Does it mean that we will be, sicker and sicker, and medical aid will keep us alive, or we want a healthier, tomorrow, and whatever needs to be done for healthier tomorrow. Somebody was asking me that, it has, evolution खत्म होना है, जब चीज़ नष्ट होना है, नष्ट हो जाएगी. No, these problems are created by humans. The solution also has to be thought through by us. So हम लोगों ने ये pollution create किया, हम ही को खत्म करना पड़ेगा.
And here's looking forward to a cracking poem from you, which can possibly spark some change, as so many of your words have in the past. Prasoon Joshi, it's been a delight to have you. We've sought to provoke you and get you to respond to multiple questions. We've been so happy that you could join us here at Sahitya.
Thank you, Rahul. It's always a pleasure, and thank you for inviting me.
Thank you for having us. Thank you.